Hello and welcome to my third Warmachine and Hordes spell report. This time I play Cryx with Skarre1 and my opponent changed his legion to Cygnar and plays Haley1. Scenarios Incursion. I have changed my list a bit since 2 Helldivers, Soul Hunters and Derek is changed to Kraken, the Cryx Colossal. And here's my opponent's list, including Stormwall and Stormstrider as the main issues here, as well as gun mages. So here's the table. After second place, second turn, 1 flag disappears, 1 point per flag and 3 points to win. Cygnar won the starting roll and goes from the right, and so I deploy first. Pre-deployment with the Colossals, nothing special, just deploying to the center so we can both react to the scenario. And here you can see the pre-deployment. My main deployment was planned so that Kraken would go to the center, Banes would go nearest flag to the camera, and Satixis would go to the farthest flag from the camera. So dividing the troops according to scenario. Like so. I was a bit afraid if the center flag would go away, because my 12-inch control area would give me problems. My opponent also deployed to the center, being able to react to the scenario. Here the captain activates first, advances to the hill and gives desperate pace for the unit. Unit then runs and takes over the hill, taking the defense bonuses as well. Helldivers activate and both go underground. Chicken just advances. And Kraken runs towards the center flag. Banes run full speed ahead. And Skarre herself just advances and camps all her focus. Surgeon also runs, taking cover behind the Kraken. Skarlock then advances and Ritual sacrifices 1 Stitch Thrall that I forgot to remove, but will remove it later. So D6 focus next turn. And I roll a 2. And everybody activated, so a turn. And here's the Cygnar players' thoughts on the turn. I will talk in detail when they happen. The knights run, and then Rupert comes in and gives them tough. And here's when I remember to remove this. Haley activates, gives Deadeye the mages, and Arcane Shield the Strider. So arm 21 now. Keeps 3 focus. Gun mages then advance and 1 tries to shoot the Satixis, but it's just a bit off. And here you can see my new animation for the hit and miss. Stormwall advances, uses pod and covering fires, and then shoots at Cygnar raiders. Misses. And another miss. Gorman advances and use smoke bombs to cover the Haley and a couple of mages. Skarre just advances. And Journeyman Warcaster advances and casts the arcane shield on the storm wall. Advances and tries to shoot the pod. But it's just millimeters away, so no lightning damage on the Cygnar raiders. And it's a turn. I paused the game to randomize which of the flags will disappear, and it's the closest to the camera. Which is great for me, because it's not the center one, and I think my Banes would have been in trouble against the Knights. Here you can see a couple of still shots from different angles, and showcasing the models. My plan for the second turn is just to advance up and shoot with the Kraken. And of course secure the objectives so that my opponent cannot score on his 2B turn. Here you can see me allocating 3 focus for the Kraken, and then bringing back the Helldivers. Skarlock advances and Sack strikes another Stitch for 3 focus. Helldivers do what they do best and go underground. Kraken here tries to advance so that it is within 4 inches of the flag, so it contests, and then pops a few shots. I'm using my control area here to measure the 4-inch. I get maximum shots and decide to use all of them on the Knights. First is a hit and kill, and it doesn't tough. I'm needing 8+ to hit and all the other shots miss. Then I use my big gun on the mage that is not inside the cloud, within range. Boost the hit, and it's a hit. And then we measure up who's under the AoE, and there's of course the mage, Gorman, and the caster Haley. So I decide to boost on the Gorman and Haley. I roll just enough to kill Gorman, but even with the boost I don't damage Haley. Once the Cryx charges the pod, half of the unit contests the flag and other half remains on the hill. Cryx of course auto hits and kills the pod with charge. Bane Thralls cautiously advance. Chicken advances also. Surgeon runs. I'm not quite sure why the Stitch Thrall is there. I had in my mind some kind of charge lane blocker, but I really don't know. Skarre also advanced behind the Kraken, and it's a turn. My opponent's plan is to defeat and do some damage to the Kraken. So he starts his turn with Haley advancing, casting Temporal Barrier, and then feating. So -2 defense for me, and I'm not allowed to run or charge within her control area. And her feat gives all the friendly models an additional attack. Which means with his list everybody shoots an additional time. Haley then tries to kill the Cygnar with her own range attacks, but misses them both. Then gun mages advance. And they start to shoot my Cygnar raiders. After having killed 3 of the Satixes, he then concentrates his fire on the chicken. Mages do some damage. Note the new system boxes on the damage grid. The last damage roll takes out my arc node. Then he continues to punish my raiders. And then the stride activates, and here I could have played better if I used my Banes to guide the leaps onto them. As you will see, now the leaps are damaging my support models behind the Kraken. Here we are randomizing between the Surgeon and the Skarre, and it hits the Surgeon and then continues on the Banes. Some damage to Kraken, but more importantly 1 point to Skarre. So he's -10, he rolls 11. And the Surgeon dies. As does the Bane. Another shot. Again, some damage to Kraken. And again 2 points to Skarre. The feet shot hits and go through Kraken, Skarre, and then Skarlock. Kraken takes some damage. This time Skarre doesn't, but Skarlock takes 3 points of damage. Then the Stormwall activates, advances, uses pod and covering fires. He's using the control area here to measure the distance between the Kraken and the Stormwall. And then he shoots the Kraken. Boost the damage, but the roll is pretty poor. Still some damage. Second roll is a hit, boosting the damage, and Kraken takes 6 points. The feet shot is still hit, and even without the boost does some serious damage. Support solos just advancing on the back, and the knights, only one knight charges. Everybody else runs to contest the flag and moving in positions. Attack on the Bane hits and kills an Ardent Tough. And once again Rupert kills the Knight's Tough. And that's his turn, and once again some still footage. I notice I'm in the position to score 2 scenario points if I go fully after it. And the only thing is to decide whether I used my feet defensively or not. I'm not able to kill either one, the Stormwall or the Strider, with my feet turn, so I'm counting on the Kraken to finish the job next turn. The Satyxis need only to remove the pot and the one knight to contest the other flag, but the center flag is a bit more crowded. So here you can see Satyxis charging in to clear the zone. And as the zone is clear, Captain goes in to control it. I have forgot to change the name of the label, but the last stitch runs into place. Skarre then advances within 1 inch of the stitch, feeds, takes 5 damage points, giving +5 strength and +5 armor into her control area. After that, she cast Dark Guidance, giving my models an additional die to melee attack rolls. After that, she uses Sacrificial Strike on the Stitch to get an automatic hit, power 12 on the Knight. And the Knight doesn't tough. Then the Helldiver advances. Attacks the Gun Mage. Hits. And of course, in my feat I'm power 18, so auto kills. Buys an attack on the Knight. Hits. And as this was the officer model, I rolled the damage and he didn't tough. The second Helldiver then advances through the covering fire. I'm now armed 20, but still power 12 does some damage. I then check that I'm within the control to gain all the bonuses, and then attack on the Gun Mage. The Skarre advances and uses Ritual Sacrifice now on the Banes, as all the Necroswords and Stitch Thralls are dead, giving me 4 focus next turn. Bane Thralls then activate, advancing in melee with the Knights. With our guidance I have 3 dices, and within my feat I am PS 18, so they die. But my opponent forgets to use the tough, so this is a bit confusing, and he breaks my Kraken's other hand in the process. Thanks to tough, a couple of guys come back into game. Chicken advances so that it's harder for him to come into melee with my Kraken on his turn. Then the Kraken advances. You have to be in base to base to control the flag. With the huge base, it's sometimes hard to move this model. And in the confusion, my opponent is making a free strike with this one Knight. Of course, it's knocked down, but it doesn't matter when I'm armed 24. After I'm happy with the positioning, I take 1 attack on the Knight and gain 1 corpse token, and that's my turn. And after my turn I score 2 scenario points. My aggressive push with the scenario surprised my opponent, but I have left myself open for him to have an assassination. The Knights test for massive casualties, pass. Stormwall gets 3 focus and Haley starts with the temporal barrier and then shoots the Helldiver. The Stormwall then advances to contest the furthest flag. And my Eldar gets to make free strike but rolls Snake Eyes to the hit roll. After that, Stormwall uses its pod to make a couple of attacks on the Statixes. But like everything else, Statixes has now +5 arm, so first dies, but the UA takes only few damage. The first main cannon shot hits Skarre, and this is where I got a bit scared. So I'm left with 4 boxes. Another shot needed an 8. He rolled 2 dice and hit. And after the damage roll I'm left with 1 hit point. The Stormwall also uses its little guns to shoot Skarre. Hits but doesn't make any damage. The rest of the attacks from that gun doesn't hit. The other cannon rolls only 1 attack, and that is also a miss. Then the Knight charge again. And the last model runs to contest the flag, and being annoyingly in front of Kraken. He misses a couple of the hits, and even when he does damage, I'm arm 20 now, so I'm pretty safe here. But I failed this tough and 1 guy dies. The last Knight hits the Helldiver and does 2 points of damage. When activating his gun mages, I think he did his worst mistake here. If he had just ran all of them into the contest area of the center flag, I would have been in a very hard situation to score that 1 point. Now he tried to snipe Skarre with one of them, and it missed, and then just random shooting and pushing my guys around. And then the Stormstrider activates, advances, and shoots the Helldiver. Only the second shot hits, and now his own models are taking the electric damage. Helldiver doesn't take any damage, but the mage dies and the knight toughs. And again Rupert advances and gives knights a tough. So now I find myself in a very tricky situation. As my caster is only with 1 hit point, I can't play the attrition game, so I have to score the final point. The Stormwall is contesting the other one, and the center one is contested by the Strider. After a long thought, I decided that I will go for the center flag. Because of the relatively small model count I had in this list, and the fact that the knights have tough, I had to really carefully plan what I'm going to do. I used almost all of my time in this turn to really carefully plot out the plan on who to activate and when. Because I have already used my feat, the Kraken is the only one who can kill the Strider and not be pushed backwards by the repulsion. So here you can see Skarre advancing, casting Dark Guidance, and then using the Sacrificial Strike with the Bane to kill that one knight. But the knight toughs. Skarlock then advances and tries to use the Hellfire, but of course Precursor Knights are spell warded, so I even can't do this. So we agreed that I would just use the Ritual Sacrifice. Then one of the Eldar just tries to clean out the flag area, but it misses with its attack. Then the next one advances, so it can hit the Storm Strider, and even when pushed back, it can still strike the Gun Mage. So the first attack goes for the Strider, it's a hit, and I'm pushed back, he gets a token, and I do a few points of damage. Then buying a new attack on the Gun Mage, I have the backstrike bonus, so this is a hit. And with my PS13, the Gun Mage is removed. Then the Chicken advances, strikes the Strider, hits, Strider gets a token, and I use the focus to boost the damage. But no damage. And I'm pushed backwards. Here the captain just gives the desperate pace for the raiders, and here the UA tries just to walk all the 9 inches and to be able to shoot the nearest knight. I can't draw a line of sight to that model, but I can shoot the further one. After a long thought, I realized I can strike that one guy over the flag because it's incorporeal and I got reach. The rest of the units just moves within command. First auto hit with the Satexes. I'm using my Powers Roll here, and he didn't tough. And the UA uses the hand cannon. The knight is knocked down, so I hit, and power 12, it's enough. And it dies also. This Bane activation really didn't matter. I already had the space to move the Kraken into melee with the Strider. Still trying to optimize the situation, so I swapped the one regular guy with the officer. And now the Kraken advance. And as this is my last activation, I try to keep it in base to base with the flag so that I can score, but still that the strider is within my 4-inch range. Using again my control area to measure the 4-inch range. And finally, I found a place where I am base to base with the flag and still within my 4-inch range of the strider. 2 initials and 3 focus with P and plus S, 19, so it should go down. And if it does, I'm scoring my final scenario point and going for the scenario win. And as you can see here, I did enough damage. And now just going through, I have done everything I can. And making sure I'm controlling the flag. We make sure everything seems alright, and then we shake hands for my win. And here's some conclusions from the list. And that's it, guys. Hope you like it. This was my first audio commentary, so please comment if this is okay. What should I do different, if anything? Should I go back to the way I did things? Thanks for watching, comment, like and subscribe. And I also did a Twitter account for this channel, so you can get the sneak peeks and behind the scenes if you want to. So see you next time.